Good evening. The sun is set, and I'm back with another tale from my collection. It's time to relax. Dim the lights if you dare, and let me take you into the night with a story I call Into the Light. When you read this, understand it is real. And I'm hiding it in fiction because they won't think to look here for the truth. I managed to get away from the office on time to have dinner at home and organize my notes before going to bed early. I had a big day coming up, and I needed to be at the top of my game to ensure success. Had I known then what I know now, I would not have bothered. I woke to darkness. Complete darkness. Usually, if I wake in the night, I can see the glow of the streetlights at the edge of my curtains above my bed. But the darkness and silence was total, making me wonder if there was a blackout. Straining to hear, I could not even hear the familiar hum of the air conditioner, nor the fan on my dresser. Looking up, I could not discern the edge of the curtains. As I tried to reach up, the realization set in that I could not feel my arms. I could not feel anything. Panic started to creep in as I wondered what was happening, and I wondered if I was suffering from sleep paralysis. I knew sleep paralysis could be ended by sleeping and waking again, so I tried to fall asleep, but my mind refused to shut off. I tried to calm my mind and not think of anything, and found myself thinking about not thinking about anything. My mind began to race from the trapped panic I experienced, but I could not feel the adrenaline, nor my heart, which I knew must be beating out of my chest. Finally, in frustration, I tried to scream, but no sound came. I could not even feel my mouth. What the hell? Then I heard a voice in the darkness from somewhere where I thought the foot of my bed was. "Calm your mind, you are safe," a soft male voice said. "I was wondering how long until you awoke." I tried to talk to respond, but still could not feel my mouth, and no sound came out. As quickly as I forced myself calm, my mind raced with questions. "Calm now. I will answer all of your questions," the voice said. "That's better. Still your mind." I focused on the sound of the voice and let my mind go blank. I could feel a wave of calm settling onto me. "There you go," he said. "You cannot feel your mouth because you don't have one. In fact, you don't have a body. But I can still hear you. Just think what you would like to say, and please, think calmly, as shouting is uncomfortable." "What is happening to me?" I asked. "Your soul has left your body as you slept," he said, matter of fact. "You have passed on." "I'm dead?" I asked. "Your body is. You have moved on to the afterlife," he said, as if that made any difference to me. "Where am I?" I asked. "Why is it dark?" "The darkness is to help you focus with your mind," he said in a reassuring way. "The mind uses quite a lot of energy when you see. It has to interpret the signals coming from your eyes and coordinate what you see with what you know in order for it to make sense. Much like a computer." "There are no computers here, are there?" He laughed. "No, there are no computers here. You will find that they are much too clumsy and slow compared to the human mind once your potential is realized. I'm sure you've heard stories of how the human mind can do anything. It's true. Once you realize you already know everything, you can. Right now, I said sarcastically. My mind feels like mush being stirred with a steel fork. I cannot think straight, and nothing is making any sense other than your words being words. It's okay, he reassured. The transition from life to afterlife is hard and takes time to overcome. I don't like the darkness, I said. Why? It's encompassing and gives assurance of our place. He said in a way that made me think he would hug the darkness if he could. Let's just say I'm a visual person. I relate my place with reference to things around me, I said. A warm off-white glow began to emanate in front of me. I tried to turn my head to look around, but still could not feel my body, and did not know if I was actually looking around, but nothing changed. I saw nothing but the glow. Is that better? He asked. No. Now I feel like I'm infinitely small and insignificant. It's as if everything around me is too big for me to comprehend. All I see is light. I was losing my calm again. Finally, we are making some good progress, he said smugly. Progress? I asked. I feel worse now. But you understand your significance, he said. It would help to turn your thoughts inward. Remember a favorite place and recreate the view in your mind. The very first place that came to mind was a desolate ridge in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. I had spent hours there with binoculars, glassing the valley and draw below, looking for elk one beautiful fall day. At the end of that day, I watched the sunset before returning to camp. There you go, his voice came again. Now, you see that twisted pine tree to your left? Yeah, I always wondered why it grew so crooked when the other trees around it were tall and straight, I said, looking at the tree. I'm stepping out from behind the tree and coming towards you, he said. Now I am standing at your side, looking at the valley. Damn, dude. I was surprised as I watched him step out and walk over. Did you really have to look like Grizzly Adams? You were hunting. I thought this was appropriate, he said, changing into a mountain lion sitting beside me. You like this better? No, Adams is fine, I said quickly. Mountain lions always spook me with their unpredictability. So please, change back. He changed back and stood looking out at the valley. It is really beautiful here, he said. Yeah, I visited here at least once a year when I lived in Colorado, I said. So tell me, now that I've left my earthly body behind, what's next? You will spend some time in reflection, he began slowly. First, you must look back over your life and realize the things you learned and experienced. Then, when you are ready, you will begin to remember past lives and the things you learned during them. Finally, you will know whether or not you are ready to move on to the next life. Are we going to be reviewing this together or by committee? I asked, unsure. How does this work? No, you will reflect alone, he said. You will know when you are finished, and I will be waiting for you then. You're leaving me alone? I asked. I did not want to be alone in the void with no one else around. I did not want to be lonely, and I wanted to be able to discuss my discoveries. You won't be all alone, he smiled. You will create everything and everyone you need to complete your reflection. How will I do that? I asked. What did Jesus say about moving mountains? I thought back to my New Testament and Jesus' teachings. In Matthew, Jesus said, with faith, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible. He said that with faith, anything is possible, I said with a smile, proud I'd remembered the teaching. Exactly, he said, smiling. With faith, nothing is impossible. You can do anything. How do you know I can do it? I asked, unsure. You created this place where we are now. He waved his arm over the valley. You created me in an image comfortable to you. Truly, you can move the mountains. So you're saying I can move that mountain at the foot of the valley and see what is beyond? Yes, you can. He pointed. See? I looked at the mountain. It was moved to the side, and I could see the rolling hills beyond. I had hiked around that mountain and knew what I was seeing to be true. But how did I know he did not do that and just wanted me to think I did it? I looked at the valley and imagined a dragon climbing up out of the soil to breathe fire into the sky above him. No sooner had I thought it than it happened. I made it disappear and put the mountain back. I tried to do that when I was in my body but could not, I challenged. Why was I unable to do this in my life? That is what you must learn in the reflection. He turned to look at me. When you are ready, I will see you again. Trust yourself to find the answers. I started to ask him how I should proceed, but was at a loss for words when I saw him start to fade away and could no longer feel the connection between us. I had not even realized the connection until it was gone, and I felt truly alone. Looking around, I made the scene change to a favorite den I once had in a home with my first wife. Moving to my favorite chair, a very wide recliner, I watched my ex-wife carry a drink to me and set it on the table at my elbow. Thank you, I said, and reached for the drink. She smiled sweetly and sat on the other chair across from me. Silence filled the room as we sat for a while. I drank from the drink, and as I set the glass back on the table, I looked in her eyes. All I could see was love. There was none of the anger or animosity I saw the last time we spoke. I had felt an incredible sense of loss at our last interaction when I realized she did not love me anymore. "What are you thinking?" she asked quietly. I was immersing myself in the love I see in your eyes, and remembering the sense of loss I felt when you no longer loved me and left, I said. I remember how lost and alone I felt when you were no longer there. I never stopped loving you, she countered. You needed to move on and feel loss in order to motivate yourself to find something you were looking for. You pushed me away. But you were so angry and acted as though I meant nothing to you. I was surprised at her answer. You left me standing in the dark when you closed the door, as if I were simply an unwelcome visitor who given his leave to go. I was not angry, she whispered as her eyes lowered and her chin dropped. I was hurt. You were my world. You were my reason for being, and I felt it all slipping away when you no longer wanted me in your life. I was only doing what you made me to do. I reached out my hand to her. When she took my hand, I gently pulled her over to sit beside me. I wrapped my arms around her as she cradled her head on my shoulder and held her close. The smell of her hair was just as I remembered it, and I felt the warmth of her body. For a long time, I just held her, letting my mind wander. I knew what love felt like. If I learned nothing else in my life, I learned to be both giving and receiving of love. I also understood how powerful the belief in others was. I watched as they succeeded when I did not, and was often thrown into melancholy reflection at my own inability to succeed as I wished. What I did not truly know was the feeling of others believing in me. There were times in my life when I felt others believed in me for a while, but it always ended long before I was ready. I needed positive reinforcement in order to move ahead and when I felt it slipping away, it would change my path into a struggle to find it again, usually from someone else. Looking back over my life, I saw this happen time and time again. For a moment, I was in the darkness again, with light slowly filling my senses. Slowly, an image began to appear, and I was once again talking to my guide. But it was different this time, and as I struggled to understand the difference, I realized what I was seeing was the end of my previous life. The questions and responses were much the same, as was my understanding of the power of the mind. But this was the second meeting I was seeing, before I was sent back to live again, and I heard myself saying I needed to go back and do it better this time. And here I was, after going back to do it better. Had I done better? Had I learned what I needed to move forward? I slipped into and out of darkness again and again, seeing each life and each reflective review which followed. In each, I was convinced that I lived a good life, free of unnecessary violence. I learned to love, to believe in others, of loyalty and faith. I accepted my role in life, whether I was a peasant farmer or a king's soldier, and performed the duties required of me day after day. I kept my faith in God and bent myself to His will, accepting what may come as His will, until I re-emerged from the darkness to find myself climbing a mountain in another previous life. As I climbed, I could see a shrine high above me and knew instinctively that is where I was going. And then I was kneeling on a soft pad before a low table across from a monk pouring tea. We shared the tea, and it rejuvenated me as we sat quietly. I felt I wanted to ask the monk a question to find the answers I was seeking. He looked at me and smiled, before looking down into his tea as if the answers were there. I looked into my tea as well, and found myself standing before a man I knew to be my friend. He was wearing armor and holding the reins of an armored battle horse. "But I do not want to be hurt," I exclaimed, sheathing my sword. "This is not my battle. These are not my people, and this is not my land. What do I care if they take it?" "Have you never suffered pain before?" Robert asked, shaking the water from his long hair. "Yes, many times," I said defiantly. "Then you know pain goes away with healing and makes you stronger." Robert climbed onto his horse and made ready to ride into battle. "Come now, am I not your friend?" "Of course, you're true as an arrow." I smiled and clasped Robert's leg. "This is my battle. These are my people, and this is my land," Robert said proudly, opening his arms to embrace the sky. "What is mine is yours. Will you not defend yours?" Seeing the firm resolve in my friend's eyes and unable to counter his logic, I climbed aboard my horse and reined it around to follow Robert, saying, "To the death!" And then I was back, sitting cross-legged on the floor amidst the smoke of incense. I meditated upon what the Master had told me. Everything returns to its natural state to be reborn, and live anew with hope for a better life than what was previously experienced. He called this idea reincarnation, and said that the soul carried karma from all past lives into the future. I wondered what I had done in that battle so long ago, and how I died. Did I die in that battle? I felt sure I had, but knew I had fought with my friend to defend his land and people. Was the damage I inflicted in battle balanced by the good of supporting my friend? Was not the balance maintained because I was fighting only those who fought me? The darkness closed in again as I realized a new truth. I could go back and reflect upon countless lives, back to my very first, even if that was a monkey opening nuts with a stick on a rock, and I would see the same things. I was a good person, moving through life in a way that brought no unnecessary harm, while learning to live, love, work, and believe. Feeling always and knowing with conviction that there is a higher power and a purpose to life. Finding, only after leaving, that I had the power to create my will. Jumping life to life and observing only the end, when I was instructed to reflect, I think I found meaning not realized in the past. Each time, I was told I would know when I was ready to move forward, and also to trust myself to find the answers. One thing in all of my previous lives that bothered me was the unknowing. I can truly say my faith was grand as I lived by it, but there was a small spark of faith missing. That spark was the belief in myself, or lack thereof. My inability to move forward stemmed from this lack of faith. I believed, but I did not believe in myself. It was my major downfall in all of those lives, and I was not able to isolate an instance which caused me to feel this way. Even when I knew the material cold in college, I still had anxiety waiting for the test results to prove what I knew to be true. There was always a small doubt that perhaps I did not know what I thought I knew, even though I never let myself down despite the doubt every time. What was the root of this doubt? Was it fear? Of what? That I would be ridiculed or mocked as others found me unworthy? That I would be punished for accepting what was rightfully mine? The root of this doubt was in fact ego. To know the line between ego and self-worth. When I completed my tasks as agreed, did I not fully expect my wage and even demand it with no fear of ego as I knew my self-worth? How then is moving on to the afterlife any different? I kept the faith and lived my life. I cannot say I was never a sinner, for that would be a lie, but I did confess my sins and ask for forgiveness. As the Bible said, forgiveness was mine for the asking, and therefore I should not doubt I had received it. So in all these things I know I am ready to move on. And yet, there lingers in the shadows of my mind that which questions if I am truly ready. Did I find every bit of knowledge I could, and is it enough? Doubt. That is doubt. That is evil clawing for purchase to keep me earthbound, where it will have yet another chance to corrupt my soul. Get thee from me, evil, for I am not destined to be yours. I cast the darkness aside, and before me is a multitude of windows in which all of my past lives play out in reflection. I see myself, and I am not perfect, but I am not evil. I am not bad, nor am I unworthy. I am as God created me, and therefore I am worthy. Just as Jesus said in the New Testament, that no one may come to God lest he be called, I know I am worthy, for I would not look to the Lord had I not been called. Jesus also said that no man may pluck me from the hand of God if I am called, and I am but a man. I brought the blackness around myself again, and when I lifted it, I was back in my home, standing at my computer desk. Waving my hand, I turned on the computer. I cast these words you read now onto the pages, and I sent them to the places where I knew they would be found. Into the stories of fiction where people look for truth, because where better to hide truth than where those who would corrupt it would not look for it. I give you this that you may know. I am going now to take my place in the afterlife, to find that which I yearned for most every day of my life. Should I not be ready, only to be sent back to find that which I have not yet gained in yet another life, I will somehow eventually find my story, which will end here. I am back in the darkness awaiting my guide. I am ready to move forward and await his return to show me the way. I know my power now, and impressed even myself as I left my story for you without actually ever touching the computer. So you have reflected, I see, comes the familiar voice in the darkness. Yes, and I'm ready to move forward, I say confidently and wait for something to happen. Time passes, and I hear no more. No light comes, and there is no portal, nor door opening. I'm growing frustrated, waiting. Why is he not doing or saying something? Should he not be congratulating me? The darkness is endless. Finally, I can stand it no more. If he will not show me the way, I shall find my own way. Looking inward, I command the darkness to show me the way to advance and find my destiny. A soft glow appears, and within the glow I see a doorway. Through the doorway there is light. It is so bright, I know it should hurt my eyes, but I have no eyes. There is a stairway in the light. Golden stairs of light rising up into the brightness. I advance to the doorway, immersing myself in the warm glow of the light as I step over the threshold. His voice comes to me. And so you are. Thank you for spending your time with me. Tell me what you think in the comments, and I'll be sure to join the conversation. That's all for now, but I'll be back again soon with another story, just for you. Until then, sleep well.